So we want to build a better future. You have a technology that is going to help build better brains for a better future. What happens when you have the opportunity where a partner or customer invites you to use a technology in a way that you hadn't thought of? Let's say a medical technology for cognitive enhancement, or perhaps an individual recreational wellness technology for military deployment. These are the types of questions that often come up with companies. And during that time, that is not a space where you want to rely on gut feeling, right? Instead, what you want is an intentional, thoughtful strategy and a set of tools. So in addition to the Institute of Neuroethics in Conduting, which we mentioned before, I run Ningen Neuroethics Co-Lab, where we are the first consultancy to develop Neuroethics-by-Design tools. This is where we use ethics as a design requirement for processes and tools to integrate into existing workflows into companies. And we've been working for the past 5 years with IDUN because as I consulted with BrainMind, and she mentioned I was a chief advisor for this event and for a lot of the work leading up to this, what we did was we talked to you and we found out what you want and need is to act. You want awareness, you want culture and community, you want tooling. This is all in your packet, right? But in order to put forward that tooling, we're going to also need to have examples of that tooling coming into life. So another thing that you asked for are exemplars. You wanted to see people who were thriving, companies that were thriving, not in spite of their ethics commitment, but because of their ethics practices. So a lot of my mission has been identifying and partnering with these companies and then bringing those tools for sharing. And that's where IDUN comes in. Where the past 5 years, I've been working with the incomparable team at IDUN, led by Simon, Moritz, Severin, who's not here. And we've developed a suite of tools that you can develop throughout and use throughout your existing workflows in negotiating partnerships, in trying to figure out how to ethically deploy technologies and more. And those are available again on the BrainMind website. And then Philip Egger, who's joined us here today, you can meet with him, has helped integrate those tools into a navigation app that you can use to negotiate partnerships and contracts. So this can move you beyond that gut feeling into empowering ethical decision-making with clarity and awareness. So with that, I'll turn it to Simon, who will share a little bit about what we're going to do today.
Hi everyone, I'm Simon. It's great to be here. A little anecdote I want to share is, Moritz and I, we flew in about a week ago, Silicon Valley. We met with a lot of people, and it's always exciting to be at a place where people build the future. But something that we realized when we were having these conversations is that a lot of people are a bit pessimistic about the future. And, they think about AI, how will it change their lives? But what we found so interesting is this, in a way, like almost a cognitive dissonance, because, well, those are the guys that are building the future. And I think what I want to take away here into this session and into this group is we can influence how the future is being built. And I just heard, today neuroscience and neurotechnology in the future will not exist without AI. And I think it's our responsibility to build it for the future. And if you look at our history, we started out with brain sensing earbuds, and our focus was really about the distribution of the technology. How do we bring it to the mass market, right? That was our idea and intention. But then it's also about how do you make sure that the people that use it can also use it for their own good. And especially if you work with companies, sometimes very large multinational organizations, how do you make sure that they are hopefully using the technology in a way that benefits the end users? And this is where we understood that we need help, we need expertise, we need tools for our own development. And this is what we have built over the years, and what my goal or our goal for the conference here is today is to first of all present our work to you, get your feedback and hopefully improve it. But much more meaningful, I think, is especially on the startup side, on the implementation side, where there are also power dynamics, and sometimes you feel, what are we going to do against the bigger organization? I think it's to empower you to take these tools and then hopefully incorporate them into whatever you're building, which I'm sure, the problem is never about the intent or the willingness to do good. I think it's very often the issue that you kind of get lost in the operational side and on the execution side. And I think that's where we want to hopefully help you out with the tools. And we're looking forward to the session. And the call to action will be, so you heard it the first time, we're looking for companies that will pilot this tool over the next year. And then together we can, improve it, and hopefully next Asilomar or next BrainMind present you with very great results. So thank you very much.
We created, and our intent was to introduce a digital partner navigation tool. And the tool was a new digital integration of ones that we've successfully used in the past 5 years, including things that you'll see on the BrainMind website, like the acceptable use policy, the charter, partner rubric, and more. And then, so what we did in our goal, let me remind you of our goal, was to find 3 companies who would be willing to pilot an upgraded navigation tool. So we started out the event by telling our story of the bumpy tail, the ups and downs that led us to creating the tools that we did. And it was really great. We heard from the audience that the types of issues that we dealt with really resonated with them. And then we went into diving into the tool. What happened next, Moritz?
Well, it got even bumpier first. We got some really honest feedback. We used that feedback to adapt and make this afternoon a very, very productive work session. And this is what I love about this group of people here. You get very honest feedback, but everyone is willing to put in the work. And we used the combined brain power in the room, the combined experience to really come up with something better. Lots of new ideas. And I think it's fair to say we came into this with our tool that worked for our business, but we are going out of this with brilliant ideas on how to make this useful for everyone in the community.
Yeah. And so we learned a lot. I'll start with the positive. We did learn some things. We were able to validate what we had already been exploring with you in BrainMind in the past 5 years, as we discussed from our roundtables. You want and need to act. You want awareness of the types of issues. You want community and a culture of people who are asking those issues, who you can speak with. And you want tools and processes. So we hit the mark there. And then we were also able to validate some of our own assumptions about the ways we've been developing tools for IDUN.
Yeah, so we found a lot of aligned core elements, and a part of this is we think ethics should be a design requirement when thinking about products and services that we build. We are also looking for tools that help facilitate, so not replace decision-making or replace discussions, but really help us facilitate and meditate interactions. And as part of that, we are looking for a set of questions that trigger awareness and dialogue. We also have a shared appreciation of processes that facilitate dialogue and human interactions, but also enable co-creation. So rather than making this a one-sided exercise, we want to be on the table together to discuss through the difficult problems.
But it wasn't all kumbaya. There were tensions. I think the word I've heard most at this meeting was spicy. Maybe the very notable effective use of F-bombs. So I boiled them down to about 3 tensions that we felt, or that we heard from the group. One was this desire for more AI-oriented mediators or facilitators for these types of processes. The flip side of that was some people wanted more high-touch, more lo-fi interactions where they're really engaging in dialogue. And there was a second tension. Some people wanted us to draw bright red lines that were enforced by a single authority. On the flip side, others wanted something more squishy, something where companies from a bottom up could set their own norms. And the third piece is some people wanted something a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more detailed for them. On the other hand, others wanted something that could meet them where they were as they were in the earlier stages. They wanted something a little bit more like we have on the BrainMind website now. So we took that energy, and we are fearless when it comes to dissensus, which is something we practice in our collaboration a lot. And so we know dissensus is a really important driver for enthusiasm and creativity. And we were able to generate more ideas than we started with and even coalesce around a few of them.
Yeah, so two of the ideas that came up on top is, as we mentioned, an AI facilitator or mediator, which is very exciting to us because we wanted to build that for a long time. Further, we will integrate more risk evaluation in the system, also related to other standards and different regulatory environments.
So we came out of this workshop with, and we're grateful for this space to foster collaboration, cohesion, and creativity. And I'll share a few quotes from our survey that people responded to in the end. They said, "The will is strong," which definitely hear that will, "and we're more aligned than we thought." So overall, it was really exciting that that happened. But what's more important is, did we meet our goal? So our goal was to see if we could find 3 companies who would agree to pilot an upgraded tool. So were we able to make that goal happen? Drum roll, please.
Yes, we did. So we have by now 7 companies that signed up to actively work on that. We are now thinking, can we manage all of those at the same time and in what capacity? We have 20 plus people who are willing to contribute one way or another. So thank you all for that. And this QR code here allows you to contribute as well if you're interested. So if you scan this.
Yes. So the next step is that we will come up with a strategic game plan to make sure that we can share this output. We're kind of targeting JPM in January next year for our next deliverable. And we're grateful to all of you who were great sports in our workshop to engage in this experience. You were part of our story of the bumpy road that we didn't know we needed. And for all of those of you who are here, you're a part of our journey moving forward. And we're looking forward to making history with you. Thank you.